There's a lot of debate among comic book fans about who the best villain was of the Raimi trilogy, but to me, the true villain has always been none other than Mary Jane. None of the villains filled me with as much resentment as this woman with a resting bitch face. I'm sure I'm not the only one that felt this way. Even as a kid, I knew something was wrong with her. She didn't make cookies for Peter Parker like that one lady did. She was out to ruin his life like the Green Goblin. So let's take a look at Mary Jane Watson's entire villain arc throughout the trilogy. In the first movie, you kinda get the gist that she's the popular girl that likes guys with big dicks, and Peter was just some anime watching nerd with no parents. There's a sense of awkwardness between them, but you see the potential for them to end up together because they're so different. She always stands up for him and never fails to be his friend. And honestly, it should have stayed that way. I feel like she enjoys being popular more than the Kardashians because throughout the whole trilogy, this bitch wants attention non-stop. Especially when she knows that Peter is Spider-Man. But I'll get to that. The first movie shows that her ego is through the roof. She was embarrassed to say she works at a diner because having a job is lame, I guess. Like, lady, you live in a bad household with an abusive father, and you're afraid to tell people that you work at IHOP? I think her being the popular girl made her less likable, which might be why they strayed away from that a bit in the other Spider-Man movies. It was always hard for me to understand why Peter even liked her. I guess he just had a thing for redheads.
My man!
At the end of the movie, she realizes that Peter is the one that she wants to be with and tells him at the funeral that she has feelings for him, because that's the right time and place to do that. Luckily, Peter friend-zones her like a boss, and the credits roll with a song from Nickelback.
I am so high.
Hell yeah. You would think she understands that Peter has been through a lot and will give him time, right? Right? Let's move on to Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is where her villain arc truly begins because this is the one where she does unspeakable things. From the start of the movie, she tries to mess with Peter's head and get him to admit that he has feelings for her, even though he said he needs space. Then she tells him that she has a boyfriend now, even though she just said that she wants to be with Peter. How are we supposed to like this character? This just solidified that she is a crazy bitch. Throughout the entirety of this movie, she plays with Peter's emotions and goes back and forth with him every other scene. She hates the fact that he can't make it to her stupid play even though she has a boyfriend that does show up to it. I always got the sense that she only wanted what she couldn't have. Her desperate need for attention makes her one of the most toxic characters of this entire franchise. And that says a lot when there are other characters that actually want to murder Peter Parker. And don't even get me started on the poor bastard that does date her in this movie. She gets engaged to this other guy as another attempt to torture Peter Parker because that's what a mentally stable individual would do, right? And it gets really weird when she tries to kiss this guy upside down because she wants to remember the time she kissed that random guy in an alleyway. Because let's not forget, she has no idea Peter is Spider-Man at this point, so this street-walking hoe is thinking about two other dudes while she's engaged to this guy. Bro deserves so much better. Then, while engaged, she meets Peter at a coffee shop and tries to kiss him. Why would Peter even want to be with this woman at this point? Who's to say she wouldn't try to cheat on you as well? Anyway, she unfortunately survives after Peter saves her once again, and she realizes that she can be with both Peter and Spider-Man. So instead of calling off the wedding ahead of time, she leaves her man at the altar and runs her happy little hoe ass to Peter's apartment. But hey, maybe now that they're together, she'll try to be a better person, right? She'll have no problem with Peter being Spider-Man, right? Right? We conclude her villain arc with Spider-Man 3, because in this one, her little brain realizes that she will get less attention if Peter is busy being Spider-Man. You were mad at him for being flaky in the last one because you didn't believe his excuses. Now you know why he was flaky, and you're still mad. This guy is out saving lives, and your dumbass is worried about your stupid musical. I hate this character so much. Spider-Man 3 really just shows us how self-centered she is and how desperate she is for attention. She can't even be happy for her boyfriend that's trying to balance these two difficult parts of his life. I can't entirely defend Peter though because he does kiss Gwen Stacy in this one.
My man.
It's almost like he took a page out of his girlfriend's book of how to be a horrible person. Anyway, they eventually split up and Peter dodges an absolute bullet and becomes alpha male Peter Parker. See, that's one of the things that bothered me. There were so many better options for this dude, and yet he chose to be with Mary Jane. He could have been with Gwen Stacy, a woman that's 10 times smarter than Mary Jane and seems mentally stable. Even that one girl that lived next door seemed to like him. Even Green Goblin would have been better. He at least had a dump truck. Anyway, Peter pulls another Mary Jane move and tries to make her jealous by bringing Gwen to a bar that she works at. But really it just results in domestic violence.
No cry.
Peter gives up his life of getting pussy and goes back to being Spider-Man. MJ unfortunately survives after getting kidnapped for a third time, and Spider-Man saves the day and of course, gets back together with her. By the end of the third movie, it almost feels like both of the characters are toxic for one another, so maybe they were perfect together after all. I like to believe that in between Spider-Man 3 and No Way Home, he got married to a supermodel after MJ snapped her neck or something. She was one of the worst romantic leads of any superhero movie ever, and it's not Kirsten Dunst's fault at all. She played the part well, she was just given one of the worst possible iterations of the character. It often makes me wonder if this version of MJ was based off of Sam Raimi's ex-girlfriend or something, because this character feels intentionally psychotic. The Amazing Spider-Man movies got that relationship right, until the end. What are your thoughts on Mary Jane and the Sam Raimi trilogy? Do you think she's as evil as I do? Let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, bye.